my kitchen. Bem-vindos à minha cozinha. What am I doing today? I'm doing Rosas do Egito, or some call formas, FILHOSES formas. I've never heard of that, but some people call them that. I've always known was Rosas do Egito. So that's what I'm gonna do today. I already have a recipe on YouTube with Rosas do Egito, but there's always new subscribers coming in and they don't know, people these days don't want to go look for recipes. So I'm going to make a recipe that I already have on YouTube, because as we go to Mardi Gras, Carnival, that was something that my mom used to make. So that's what I'm going to do today. Today I'm doing Rosas do Egito, and I'm going to do everything in my mixer. In my blender. This is something you need, a form. It's a form that you buy and you dip into the mixture and then you fry it. I found mine at Amazon, and you can find them anywhere these days. Any store that sells cooking stuff. So anyway. So in here I have, like I said, 6 eggs. I have 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And this is a recipe that I kind of had my mom's recipe, but I changed it, as always. I'm going to add my half a teaspoon of salt. This is something my mom never did. Orange zest. That gives a nice flavor to the rosettes. And then I have 4 tablespoons of aguardente. If you don't have aguardente, it could be brandy, it can be any liqueur, or you can just leave it out. So I'm going to mix this, blend all this until it's well combined and those yolks, everything is mixed. Okay. Into this, I have 1.5 cups of flour. All-purpose flour, no special flour. I'm going to add that to it. This has no yeast, no baking soda, no baking powder, none of that. And then I have 2 cups of whole milk. Cold milk. And I'm going to blend all this together. And we're done. We're going to start frying. I'm going to mix some of that flour that's stuck to the sides. You want to make sure that all the flour is combined. You don't want no dry pieces of flour. So, ooh, that aguardente mix smells so good in here. And that orange zest. Yeah, I always have a recipe. I'm always doing some changes. So I'm going to mix this again. This into this measuring cup, and this is where I'm going to use them from, and I'm going to let this sit here for maybe about 20 minutes so those flavors start developing and that flour start absorbing all that milk, so it might thicken a little bit more. So anyway, let this rest. I'm going to get my oil heat up, and then I'll show you. Okay, friends, I'm ready to start frying my Rosas do Egito. These are the forms I have. They're 2, come 2 in one. And they have different shapes, different sizes. Like for Valentine's coming up, that'd be good. And I changed the batter to a shallow bowl, because my forms did not fit in that other bowl. Another thing I did, I add a little bit more flour to my mix. You want it a little bit thinner than pancake batter, but thicker. Mine, it never. I should have considered the milk, the aguardente that I add to it, and I didn't. I should have added a little bit more flour. So I add another half a cup of flour, and depending the flour, you might have to add more or less. So anyway, so you dip your molds in the hot oil, and then you kind of shake a little bit, and then you go into the batter, and it will sizzle, and then you don't want to go all the way to the top because you don't want them to stick. And sometimes they might stick. That's just normal. You might go with a knife and just try to release. You want a very low flame. You don't want this oil super hot. I think I have it at 300 because you want them to cook and you don't want them to get too much color. And like I said, if it's new forms, sometimes it takes a little bit longer for them to get seasoned, the forms to get seasoned. So anyway, I will show you a little bit better this. So I have my form hot, and I'm going to dip it in the batter, making sure not to go all the way to the top, and then lift it and put it in. I shake it a little bit to release it because these forms, some of them I don't think I've used them before. So, and then they fall out. And then I go back again. I like this one that has two. It goes a lot faster. And you gotta be quick when you put it in there and lift it, because if the oil is too hot, they'll cook it in there. They don't grab the batter. It just takes a little bit of practice. Like I said, I don't remember doing this with my mom. My mom and my dad always did this. Or then one of my older sisters did it. I don't remember ever making it. Physically make it. I've seen them being made, but not make them myself. But I've made it here quite often. And then you just take them out. And I have my stove as low as it can be. I might have to change to a different burner. Okay, friends, I switch my forms, and I have a whisk, and I keep whisking my batter. And I'm finding that if the forms are too hot, that the batter falls off. So you don't want the form too hot. So I dip it in the oil, and then I take it out to relax a little bit the heat. But because these are new, I've never used these. They're not seasoned, so they might stick a little bit. I have a heart and then a circle. I figured this would be a good, Valentine's is coming up, and this would be good for me to send my granddaughters, the little hearts. So I dip it in there, and then I shake the oil. I mix my batter. I put it gentle in my batter, and right away I take it. If I leave it too long, the batter falls off. And it's because the form is too hot. And like I said, this is just, it takes a while to kind of get the hint of it, to get used to doing this. But once you get it, see, this one is too hot, it falls off. Just go back and dip it. And I have my stove as low as it can go. And I don't like mine to be too thick. I know some people make the batter a little bit thicker, and then, you know, they might be easier to grab, but then they become too thick. And I keep putting into this plate, and then we're gonna roll it with powdered sugar. But they are so good. I like them just without sugar, because they already have enough sugar inside. They're very crunchy. You can taste that orange and that aguardente. Aguardente is delicious. It mixes so good. Okay, friends, here it is, my Rosas do Egito. It took forever. Now I know why I don't make it that often. But they are so good. They're crispy. You can roll them in regular sugar, or you can roll them in cinnamon sugar, however you prefer. These stayed a little bit thinner than I usually like, so I'm gonna do a little bit of a modification in my recipe. That's why it kind of took too long. They're a little bit too thinner. Even though I had a little bit of more flour, they're still a little bit thin. But they're good, you know. They taste so good. That that orange and that aguardente, it is so delicious. So anyway, you give it a try to this recipe, to some like this, when you have your next get together with your family. So I'm rolling some in regular sugar and then some with cinnamon sugar. It's up to you. Or you can just leave them plain. If you're going to put them in save them for another time for storage, put them in a tightened container without the sugar. You want to put the sugar at the time that you're going to eat. So anyway, now I know why these takes, I don't make these that often. It takes a while to get accustomed to, especially my molds. They're new and they haven't been seasoned. When you get new molds, you put them in oil or dip them in oil and then dry a little bit and then put them in the oven to season the molds. Mine weren't seasoned, so they were sticking at the beginning. But then once I got going, they were fine. So anyway, but that's what I'm gonna do for Mardi Gras. I'm gonna share these some with my in-laws, and then I'm gonna send some to my grandkids, my granddaughters. They like this. They wanted to try it. So anyway, for those new subscribers coming in, I will leave the recipe on the description, and you give it a try to this. You don't have to wait this for a special occasion. This makes a nice dessert, and you can store it in a tightened container for, you know, a couple months or a couple weeks, however you wanted to do it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. Don't forget to click on the bell so you'll be notified when my videos are put out. And give me some thumbs up. And please comment. Put your comment. Do you make these things? Were you custom with this specialty? And until next time, let's get cooking. Have a good day. And here it is, my Rosas do Egito. These have cinnamon and sugar. These are just plain sugar.